Hey everyone, welcome back to Label Grid, the channel that breaks down how real music careers are built, not how songs get lucky. If you're an artist, manager, or anywhere inside the music industry, hit that subscribe button. I'm Valeria, media manager at Label Grid. We focus on strategy, structure, and long-term leverage, not quick wins and short-term hype. Because today, we're looking at one of the most calculated, most intentional, and honestly, one of the smartest music marketing campaigns of 2026. We're talking about RAYE, and not just RAYE as an artist, RAYE as a strategist, alongside Hans Zimmer, one of the most iconic composers of all time. When Click Clack Symphony dropped, it didn't just perform well, it repositioned her entire career. But now the album is out, and what looked like a moment was actually a system. Today, we're breaking down the full architecture behind this music may contain hope, from early breadcrumbing to prestige positioning to seasonal album design to direct-to-fan infrastructure. If you want to understand how independent artists win in 2026, this is a masterclass. Let's get into it. Let's start with the breadcrumb strategy. RAYE made fans emotionally invested before the song existed. Let's start with the foundation because this is where most artists get it wrong. Most artists promote when the product is ready. RAYE started long before that. Months before Click Clack Symphony ever dropped, she began sharing pieces of the process, not polished teasers, not pre-saved now posts, real raw fragments. Old notebooks, lyric drafts, moments of doubt, clips that felt unfinished. And this is important because it shifts the role of the audience. Instead of being consumers, fans become witnesses. Then they become participants. By the time the song actually arrives, it doesn't feel like a release. It feels like a resolution. That's what we called narrative equity. You are emotionally invested before the product even exists. And there's another layer most people miss, the click-clack itself, that rhythmic ticking. That's not just production, that's branding. It acts as a mnemonic trigger. Every time you hear something similar, a heel, a clock, a percussive tick, your brain connects it back to RAYE. That's high-level identity building. She didn't just make a song, she created a recognizable sonic signature. RAYE didn't drop a single, she elevated herself into high art overnight. Now we move into the pivot. Because bringing in Hans Zimmer is not about streams, it's about perception. This is what I call prestige repositioning move. Overnight, RAYE shifts from respected artist into something closer to composer-level credibility, and that opens entirely new doors. Now, you're not just speaking to pop audiences, you're speaking to film audiences, to critics, to institutions, to award ecosystems. And the way the campaign framed it matters. They didn't call it a single, they call it a symphonic movement. That language shift alone changes how the audience interprets the work. It feels bigger, more important, more permanent. And then the video amplifies that. Directed by Dave Meyers, it's cinematic, deliberate, and long form. In an era dominated by short attention spans, this becomes a pattern interrupt. It forces attention. People stop scrolling not just because they were told to, but because the content demands it. That's the difference between content and presence. RAYE turned her album into a psychological experience system. Now we zoom out because this is where the full picture becomes clear. With the release of This Music May Contain Hope, we can see the real strategy. The album is divided into 4 chapters: winter, spring, summer, autumn. This isn't just creative storytelling, this is structural marketing. First, it forces linear listening. In a world of playlist and shuffle behavior, RAYE creates a reason to listen from beginning to end. That increases retention, and retention is one of the most important signals in modern streaming algorithms. Second, it controls emotional pacing. Starting with darker, heavier material creates contrast, so when the lighter, more hopeful tracks come in, they feel like relief. That emotional contrast increases memorability. Third, it creates product scalability. 4 seasons means 4 vinyl versions, 4 collectible identities. Fans don't just buy the album, they collect it. That's how you turn music into a multi-product ecosystem. And most importantly, it extends the lifestyle of the project. Instead of one release moment, you now have 4 narrative phases. And that's how you stay relevant longer without oversaturating. Ray didn't rely on the industry, she built her own machine. Now we get into the real power shift. Ray is operating independently, and that changes everything. Because instead of relying on external systems, radio, playlists, paid media, she builds her own infrastructure. There's no algorithm filtering your message, no competition for attention in a crowded feed. It's direct, it's personal, it's trusted. And that creates belief. When fans feel connected to the process, they don't just listen, they advocate, they share, they promote, they defend, they become the marketing engine. And that's something money can't replicate. Click Clack Symphony wasn't a music video, it was a memory trigger system. Let's go deeper into the visual side. Because this is where branding becomes sensory. The red heel, the tension, the rhythm synced to visuals, this is not aesthetic, this is strategy. It creates what we call a visual anchor. Now every time someone hears that sound, they see that image. That's how you build recall, and recall is what drives long-term value. Not just streams, not just views, memory. Because the artists who last are not the ones you hear once, they're the ones you instantly recognize. Ray just proved independent artists can out-strategize major labels, so what's the real takeaway here? This wasn't about one song, this was about system design. Ray combined narrative before product. Prestige to shift perception, structure to increase retention, direct access to build loyalty. And she executed all of it independently. That's the shift happening in the industry right now. Artists are no longer just creators, they are operators, they are building ecosystems. If you are an artist, the lesson is simple: start earlier than you think. Let people into the process, not just the result. Build emotional investment before asking for attention. If you're a label, the lesson is even clearer. Stop relying only on distribution. Invest in narrative, identity, and infrastructure because attention is rented, but connection is owned. If you made it this far, you already know this isn't luck, this is strategy. If you want more breakdowns like this, real insights into how music careers are actually built, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!